A big weather pattern change is coming as we go through this week into next week. This is going to move a big heat dome across the U.S. Also is going to bring in a cold front of colder weather along the western U.S. Now, a colder air aloft, this will initiate stronger severe weather chances of very large hail in the east and damaging winds from what I can see. So the weather pattern we're going into is starting to look more and more intense as we go by this weekend. But don't forget, we also have this big heat dome moving across us, bringing these very hot temperatures across the west right now. This will come across the east as this ridge weakens, and it will bring some 90s across with that as well, so be aware of that. So here's the latest updates as we go through the rest of this week, into this weekend, also into the first half of next week. This is where the heat is moving across the central and the eastern United States, and it's going to be strong the first half of next week, especially across the eastern U.S. Then we're going to get this cold blast that's going to come through from the west after that, and that's going to come through all the way through the weekend. This is bringing colder air from the west, the central, and the Midwest, but it's also going to initiate the severe weather that's coming right afterwards. In fact, Climate Prediction Center has put out an outlook, everybody, from the 18th to the 19th, if you're in this area, for hazardous temperatures. Now, this is only a slight risk, but this will bring in the low 90s. And you can see from your latest outlook all the way towards the 20th, a big above average anomaly moving across the Tennessee, Kentucky Valley, while we start getting this trough of cooler air that's going to come through. Now, we do have some severe weather for today, also for tomorrow, but right now, severe weather is pretty much on a low end all the way until we get towards this weekend. There's going to be some isolated areas of marginal, I do believe. It's because we're in an omega block. Now, when you have an omega block, you have a big high pressure down there. This is all that heat dome that I showed you yesterday, but you also have low pressures up here that is blocking this from going anywhere, and that helps severe weather pretty much stay on a mild event. And still showing as this heat moves through from Wednesday into Thursday that the ridge weakens, and this allows for more of a window of severe weather to come through as we get the cold front going towards this weekend. Now, when that colder air comes through from the west, this is going to help initiate instability, chances for very large hail. I do believe we will see that in the outlooks. But showing as we go through this weekend into the first half of next week, still showing we're going to a very intense weather pattern. So we have a lot of heat that's building over here along the south and the east. You can see by this upper level high right here. We also have this trough of cooler air coming through, which will make it an intense center of the U.S. right here. So that's what we need to watch out for as we go through this weekend into next week. Now, it starts getting messy, of course, once you go past 5 and 6 days, but I can show you the weather pattern. In fact, the latest information on the data is now trending. Instead of being a northward push with GFS, is starting to believe what the Euro is seeing. You can see this on your Arctic oscillation. After this big heat dome moves by, as we go through this weekend and beyond, maybe even going deeper later. We need to watch this to make sure, but showing this cold air is coming right back through again. Now, this is with the Euro. You can see with the GFS, it has changed its agreement. Yesterday, it shows it could go on that northward push of a warm-up. It's starting to believe more of today that it could go more into that trough of cooler air. Now, it's still going to be combating a lot of warm temperatures coming through with that big high pressure right over the Gulf. It's going to swing everything northwards. So GFS is seeing a little bit of a warmer anomaly pushing further towards the north. The Euro is seeing a colder anomaly. But this is going to bring hazardous temperatures, so make sure you hydrate the day before, everybody. And you can see as we go towards Sunday, that heat moves across from the temperatures I showed you yesterday, same temperatures. But once we go through Sunday around lunchtime, we start getting those 90s across the south, also across the southeast. Then as it comes through for Monday, here's that cold front, Monday on the 18th. And you can see how it warms back up for Monday, but you stay around the high 50s for those that had freezing temperatures, or 40s in the morning. But all along the south, you stay in the high 80s or 90s all the way towards the southeast and the mid-Atlantic. As you go through for Tuesday, that cold front comes even deeper. And this is actually where you're going to get a lot of instability growing because of the temperature gradient. We have very warm temperatures, very cold temperatures aloft, and that coming together is going to make for severe weather. Unfortunately, it is still sloppy and it's hard to be accurate. And you can see when you go through Tuesday evening, it warms right back up again, but now you have this big area of high 80s, even the 90s, that starts kicking in for the southeast and the mid-Atlantic. So you need to watch out for these temperatures, everybody. Now, when you check with GFS, it shows it could go a little bit further with those 90s, but it's agreeing on this weather pattern being a strong weather pattern for a lot of heat, everybody. And showing on Wednesday, it will be there again, the high 80s and the 90s coming across. So please be aware you are in a slight risk. And you can see with GFS, it takes it a little bit further, but agreeing that a big pocket of 90s is going to move through. Now, right now, we have some weak severe weather for today, also for tomorrow. These are marginals. And for Tuesday, as we get in a storm system across the Great Lakes. And now we have a day 6, a slight risk possibility for storms only for the South Central. But showing at Colorado State University that we're going into a weak weather pattern. Just like I showed you with the severe probabilities, this is going to be more of a marginal weather pattern. But I think the marginal could have spots of slight risk, especially for very large hail, everybody. Now you can see what Colorado State University, as we go through for Saturday, National Weather Service has that slight risk, showing it to be a marginal. Also for Sunday, this will grow further towards the north, and for Monday, going across the Great Lakes out through the northeast, showing only a marginal. But still, I think we will see some areas of slight risk for very large hail. That cold air aloft, those very warm temperatures, that together is going to create a lot of instability. With the high pressure in the Gulf spinning around, it's going to bring all this precipitation to the north. Showing that it is trending now, some more confidence that this weather pattern will come into fruition, but still a little choppy on the details, everybody. You can see as you go through Thursday, there's your cape, your lift, your food for thunderstorms to grow. As we get that heat dome moving through all the way for Friday, when we start getting the cooler air coming through, creating a lot of instability. Also for Saturday, you see how that grows further towards the north. And then for Sunday, it goes across the Great Lakes, bringing a lot of strong instability, maybe even a Monday in there. So the weather pattern is showing a lot of lift, a lot of food for thunderstorms to form. Plus, we have the precipitation that's coming through. You can see with this with your dew points, that big high pressure swinging everything across the southeast and the Gulf, all the way towards the north as we go through for Friday. It goes further north as we go through Friday into Saturday, and then across the Great Lakes and the northeast as we go through for Sunday, and maybe even a Monday in there. And it is trending today, everybody. So you can see the shot with the Euro. You can also see the dew points with the GFS. As we go from that Thursday into that Friday, it goes further north. Then Saturday, it heads further north and across the Great Lakes. And then for Sunday, it moves further across the Great Lakes out through the northeast. So it is trending on the weather pattern. As far as timing on where this cold front and this big warm anomaly move towards the east and where the area is still a broad area. So as we go through for Wednesday evening, we get some storms across the northeast still from that storm system coming across for the Great Lakes. Then as we go through for Thursday, this is where that storm comes through into Canada. Might bring one day of severe weather over here from Minnesota. Maybe some chances for some very small hail and some winds, and maybe linger all the way towards the Corn Belt as you go through Friday morning. But once we go through Friday evening into Saturday, this is where it becomes pretty much a mess. We get our low pressure, we get a lot of storms building all the way from Texas all the way towards Minnesota, but it's pretty sloppy on where these storms are going to build and where it's going to be exact impacts, because it's moving around every single day. What we do know is with the colder air aloft that's coming through, with the warmer temperatures along the southeast, this is going to create all the instability we need for a lot of severe weather, bringing all the precipitation, the moisture from the Gulf around this high pressure, and this will help initiate the storms coming through. Now, I'm showing with the colder air aloft, not only the strong instability, there's going to be a lot of chances for a lot of lightning strikes. This brings chances for damage and winds, but this right here, this is a shot of a lot of large hail that will come down with this weather pattern, showing it could last all the way through Sunday and into Monday. But I will keep you updated, but make sure you check on your elderly, make sure you check on your neighbors as you get all this heat coming across everybody. This is going to get into the 90s. This is going to get rather hot, especially over here across the south. It gets really hot. So be aware of that. Make sure you hydrate a day early for the temperatures. Also for the west and the Midwest, you have this cold front coming through right behind it as we go through this weekend and beyond. And before I go, a quick word from our Father, everybody. Psalm 50, 1 through 3. The mighty God, even the Lord, hath spoken, and called the earth from the rising of the sun unto the going down thereof. Out of Zion, the perfection of beauty, God hath shined. Our God shall come, and shall not keep silence. A fire shall devour before him, and it shall be very tempestuous round about him. Amen. Remember, everybody, when Jesus comes back, it's not going to be this peaceful transition that a lot of people are painting a picture out there. He's coming back with power and to fight. Amen. Have a great day, everybody. I will keep you updated. Remember, above all things, all glory does go to God, our Father in heaven, Yahweh. And I always hope he keeps you safe every single day of your life and forever. Amen.